Ordinance is described as an official edict or directive as well as a legislation established by a governing authority. Local administrations were founded in Sabah by provisions of the Local Government Ordinance 1961. The legislation established the outlines as well as the role and function of Sabah municipal councils. Ordinance may be established at district councils, town councils, or municipal councils in any part of Sabah by the Yang di-Pertua Negeri. A document published in the Gazette as may be judged necessary or suitable for the purpose of local administration. The authorization of establishment is also obligated and the formation of an authority is published in the Gazette. The clerk of the cabinet shall provide the authority with a certificate and must be displayed prominently at the authority's formal meeting area. Authority created should indicate the name of the authority and the date of constituted. Nevertheless, every jurisdiction formed under the provisions of this ordinance shall be a corporate entity with a sufficient certainty and shall be legally competent of filing a lawsuit and being sued.
Okay, first of all, our power to accept gift. The Sabah local government has the right and jurisdiction under Section 36 of the Local Government Ordinance 1961 to accept gifts or property in the form of contributions or financial aid from any source. This is because it can be used to carry out community-wide maintenance and improvement projects, such as improving the quality of public infrastructure. For example, the local government in Sabah can use the donations to develop healthcare facilities. For your information, the Sabah State Disaster Fund has received a total of RM5.85 million from government-linked corporations, which is GLCS, to aid in the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. These funds will be used to alleviate the burden on the frontliners and assist people in need as much as possible. Okay, first of all, our power to accept gift. The Sabah local government has the right and jurisdiction under Section 36 of the Local Government Ordinance 1961 to accept gifts or property in the form of contributions or financial aid from any source. This is because it can be used to carry out community-wide maintenance and improvement projects, such as improving the quality of public infrastructure. For example, the local government in Sabah can use the donations to develop healthcare facilities. For your information, the Sabah State Disaster Fund has received a total of RM5.85 million from government-linked corporations, which is GLCS, to aid in the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. These funds will be used to alleviate the burden on the frontliners and assist people in need as much as possible. The state government would also pay allocations to upgrade the infrastructure at the quarantine center established by the Ministry of Health Malaysia. Then, the local government in Sabah have the power to accept gifts or donations as stated in the Ordinance of Local Sabah. This means they can help boost the revenue of the local authorities, especially if they have a large revenue. For instance, this contribution will be used to upgrade facilities at the Kota Kinabalu Sports Complex in Likas so that quarantine people can be housed there, as well as to improve facilities at MOH Training Institute in Bukit Padang and the Malaysian Fire and Rescue Academy. Thus, the local government's surplus revenue can also be used to help them extend their functions. Even while each local government will be given a budget to carry out their activities, it will only be used for the federal government's mandate tasks, such as trash collection and public health. So, the discretionary function assigned by the central government to the local government should be used as much as possible to improve the well-being of local people in Sabah. Okay, next is public places, streets in urban areas. The authority has general management and maintenance of all public sites, such as playgrounds, parks and gardens in terms of their facilities, as well as any damaged roads and streets. It can also open or manage its usage, such as their regulations or operating hours for the benefits of the community, subject to any terms and conditions set by the Yang Dipertua Negeri or any landowner. The state authority will repay any remunerations and expenses paid by the government in connection with such an acquisition. An enhanced recreational park can also help to boost economic development by attracting tourists to the park. The local government in Sabah has the right to execute any maintenance activities such as park beautifying or public road repair for the purpose of public usage. Such parks can be used for a variety of activities, including community events, family days, and more, all without having to pay a high rent. Thus, local government are the third level of government, which means they are more connected to their communities and aware of their needs than central governments. Authority granted under this provision enables local governments to be sensitive to the needs of their communities. It is critical to be aware of the community's requirements in order to avoid wasting money by giving unneeded and unimportant needs to the community.
According to Sabah Ordinance, the authority may not enter into a contract with a value more than sum stipulated by the Cabinet in connection to such authority without the Ministry or Cabinet approval. Thus, based on the function provision of the Sabah Authority in the details of the Sabah Ordinance 1961, the local authority may enter the require of desire to perform of its tasks. A provision contract subject to certification protection is one entered into between a local government and another party for delivery of services, whether or not in connection with an asset or items for the purpose of carrying out any of the relevant local government's functions. For example, any contract that entered by the authority should be concluded in accordance with its standing orders, or in the absence of such contract, in accordance with the ministry instruction, or in the case of contract of procurement of goods and material, or the execution of works valued at 2,000 or more. Such standing orders or directives should require notice of the authority intention to enter into the contract. Thus, Deal also stated that every contract or tender issued by the Sabah local government must be approved by the ministry or officially signed. Besides that, the contract must be with the local authority directly, not with a subsidiary or another organisation, and it must be for the provision for a package of services or assets, or both, in connection with any of the authority functions. Education, waste disposal, public health and sound country planning and conservation, road traffic issue, justice administration, police and fire services, passenger transportation and many more will be covered. It demonstrates the authority granted to the local authority in carrying out the services which authority to contract for the goal of ensuring the public long-term growth. In the case of the function provision to the power of contract, for example, the Deputy Ministry of Public Work of Sabah completed the handover ceremony for the Mandalipau National School Completion Project, which one of the project in Sabah for the construction and upgrading of poor school using industrial building system method. This money will be used to renovate a rural school. The local government in Sabah has the ability to offer a contract to a contractor to complete the repair work. Hence, the power given according based on the provincial local government Sabah, this section gives the Sabah local government the power to choose who can participate in the tender. By submitting tender quotation for the year on the state's government website, this strategy assists the local government in obtaining the best contract for the state government. It will make it easy for the state government to select the best contractor among the finds, as well as one to qualify for the tender. Therefore, this clarifies why it's critical important for the local government to have the authority and power to select contractor to carry out this initiative, because it's not only to affect the under area but also indicate a positive perception among the community if the program or function is carried out well and benefit to the community. Thus, to summarize a good perception, a local government allows them to carry out their duties more efficiently since they will get community cooperation, support and trust. The Local Government Ordinance of 1961, it includes fee as one of the financial requirements, the sum that everyone must pay for the right or services that they want or desire. It has been a critical financial assistance because Sabah has no progress in contrast to other Malaysian states. The local government can generate their financial and income by revenue, such as tax, rates, rent fee, fines, user fee, return from investment, and income obtained from one of the properties. Furthermore, the local government can get money from sources other than their own, such as federal and state government grants, contribution, and in aid of rates, and as well as from the other public bodies. Any fee is to be charged by the authority in any facility services to the public that have been provided by the local authority. As a result, the payment for the facility services, license, and permit will be used to help the economy expand. To be more specific, an example, using the services of carrying away bulky waste at a residential area where the public pays the services to the local authority in order to avoid any annoyance. Not only that, the authority can establish fees but must be approved and relevant for the people, which is if the costs are extremely high, people who cannot afford them will be burned from the load, considering the fees must be relevant to others. Aside from that, any fees that have been charged by the local authority is to improve the efficiency which government may use the resources for the benefit of public. The case study that may be implied in this condition is Work Ministry Barupian presenting his plan to construct 3 critical road development plans for the Sabah and Sarawak in order to improve people connectivity and boost economic growth in both states. This collaboration between Sabah and local government and the federal government was essential for this effort. Although the government will be given financial autonomy, it will not be completely independent and will be restricted in several ways. They do have the ability to decide how to spend their earnings in order for it to serve its mission more effectively. To encourage fee efficiency in this context, local government must identify their resources of money from a range of resources. Hence, this can also ensure their tasks are carried out since they do not have to wait to decisions made by the central government, allowing them to be more efficiency and productivity.
The Sabah Local Government Ordinance 1961 has budgetary provision known as Estimate of Authority. In this ordinance, under the Estimate Authority stated that every authority shall pass accurate estimation of the authority's revenue and spending for the new financial year not less than 3 months before the end of each financial year. Such estimate shall be approved at a special meeting of the authority called for that purpose. Besides, every authority should, before the beginning of each financial year, submit to the minister a copy of the annual estimate passed by the authority for approval, and when so approved, notification of such approval should be published in the Gazette, and the estimate shall be published or made available for examination in such manner as the minister may design it. Next, no authority shall incur expenditure that is not included in such approved estimates except with the minister's approval, and any member, officer or servant of an authority who has applied, connived at or concurred in the application of monies for purposes for which it was not lawfully applicable should be liable to such charge and account for such money. Finally, the annual and supplementary estimates must be prepared in the manner and with the details that the minister requires. The minister's approval of the authority's annual and supplementary estimates should be noted in authority's minute. For instance, through the presentation of the second budget of Gabungan Rakyat Sabah GRS, an allocation of 4.569 billion is allocated to fund supply and development expenditure in Sabah. The budget term ekonomi Pulih Rakyat Sejahtera recorded 110.68 million surplus based on the estimated revenue of
4.707 billion for Sabah in 2022. In his presentation, Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Haji Jino claimed that the average price of crude palm oil and crude oil petroleum is higher than the price projected during the compilation of the revenue estimate for 2021. As a consequence, the revenue collection objective for this year is estimated to grow by 9.6% or 430.67 million, making in the 2021 revised revenue estimate higher than the initial revenue estimate for 2021. An audit is defined as an audited study or inspection of various account books followed by a physical inventory check to confirm that all departments use a documented way of monitoring transactions. It is done to determine the validity of the firm's financial statement in the subject of audited accounts. The minister will designate one or more people to serve as auditors or auditors of something like the account of any authority. Next, this audit should be carried out in accordance with the minister's instruction. The audit or auditors may be compensated for the district council, town council or municipal council fund as the minister may decide from time to time. Besides, the auditor or auditors may, by writing notice, request that any books, deeds, contracts, account, vouchers and other paperwork and papers considered suitable be provided before the auditor or auditors for the purposes of any auditor review of the accounts referred to in this ordinance. Anyone who owns or is accountable for any of these shall be obliged to appear before him or her in any such inquiry, inspection or adjudgment and to make and sign a declaration in that regard. Finally, the auditor has the authority to investigate the authority's cash, shops and assets at any time and without prior notice, as well as to inspect the works in progress. This would promote more openness and accountability in government administration in Sabah, as well as the prevention of corruption among authority figures. As an example, the Internet Audit Section was established in 1981 and was under the supervision of the Sabah State Treasury Department until June 30, 2000. Prior to 1982, this section was known as the Examination Unit and it was responsible for carrying out the State Treasury's tasks in accordance with the Treasury's orders, which are listed below. First, to guarantee that all district treasuries, ministers and departments including self-accounting departments, local authorities, government agencies and statutory organizations are monitored to reduce or avoid asset going missing due to fraud or negligence. Second, to submit to the Ministry of Finance all findings concerning public accounts that have been raised by others, particularly the Internal Audit Department.
The recommendation is to improve the assessment rates areas collection. The assessment rate in Kota Kinabalu has not changed in the previous 20 years. Re-evaluations of property values should be conducted every 4 years under Section 72 of the Local Government Ordinance 1961. Based on the existing valuation list of City Hall and investigations by National Audit Department, it was indeed the right time for Kota Kinabalu City Hall to conduct reassessment exercises based on Part 10 of the Local Government Ordinance 1961, where it governs the impositions of property rate levies. It is recommended that local authorities must take severe measures to recover reassessment rate areas. Ratepayers should be encouraged to pay assessment rates without being forced to do so by councillors and politicians working together. However, local authorities need to urge ratepayers to settle their assessment as soon as possible, since they are used to delivering services such as rubbish collection, keeping the city clean, lighting roads, maintaining landscaping, and mowing the grass, among other things. It is suggested that local authorities may provide mementos to people who pay the assessment rate within a certain time frame. Also, the Ministry of Urban Welfare, Housing and Local Government should help ratepayers understand their obligation when it comes to paying assessment rates. It is necessary to undertake programs such as speeches, seminars and ads through electronic and social media. Therefore, Local Government Ordinance 1961 is important to be established and exercised, such as Part 10 as Section 72 of the Local Government Ordinance 1961, because collecting assessment rates areas is vital for the country's civil service, particularly local government administration, has to be reformed and improved.
Next, recommendation to improve the local government ordinance is a paradigm shift toward ubiquitous government. The government places should consider emphasis on invention in its day-to-day processes, particularly in governance procedures and capacity, including in the delivery of public services. Align or networking administration centers around government's collaborative efforts to accomplish the social welfare by enlisting the artistic talents of all parts of society, by encourage other stakeholders' development strategies with an efficient operational invention and multi-channel service delivery are dependent on approaches, rules, and structures that demonstrates the significance and integration of data and delivery channels. Ubiquitous concept should be broadened to apply to overcoming time, space, and the availability of internet. It is also vital for the state to engage on the advancement of society worldwide, as well as boosting government and offering services to the citizens digitally instantly, anywhere and in any method that is available for them. The Sabah Local Government Ordinance must also develop information systems, since information exchange is pretty much limited by promote organizations and the private sector to utilize ICT as a major enabler in their operational processes. Other than that, local government ordinance should perhaps work on making it feasible for anybody to access online systems and information available from wherever in the state, engaging residents in the decision-making and providing essential services in a way that preserves each citizen's life and confidentiality. Despite the broad of ICT's ability to promote revolution and advancement in many parts of human life, Sabah must use potential of information communication and technology to promote government and industry and empowering citizens, and also assist the state's economic expansion.
In conclusion, financial autonomy for local governments in Sabah may increase accountability and minimize the load on the federal government. This is because if the central government's budget allotment is insufficient to enable them to carry out their tasks successfully, local governments might raise their revenue by adopting different techniques. Sabah's Local Government Ordinance 1961 outlines the powers granted to local governments in Sabah. These include the power to accept gifts, manage public areas, engage into contracts, and many other things. The ordinance also offers local governments some financial authority to manage their own earnings.